Recently, I heard a story of a woman who got married, and after 1 month of having a baby, her husband completely changed and was no longer the same. She didn't feel loved by him. So I really want to talk about this because I feel like it can help a lot of men and women, if women are watching as well. But in general, I want to, focus on men. So while she was dating this man, he showed a lot of red flags at the very beginning, which most people that have these tendencies show. We just choose to ignore it. We think it's going to get better, but it never does. So one of the red flags that she noticed, one of the really big red flags, is that when he lost his job, and I believe she was pregnant at this point, when he lost his job, the way that he coped with it is by going clubbing, is by drinking alcohol, loads of it, and getting drunk, coming home. And so that was a way, and by the way, there's no shade. People want to drink, and by the way, all of us have been there, 100%. But I'm just trying to get to his coping mechanism, which is very important when you're in a relationship, when you're dating, to understand when this person goes through some sort of a hurt, they lose their job, something bad happens to them, which by the way is going to happen to all of us. How does this person handle it? So his way was by drinking, by avoiding, by not actually taking action to improve his life. Instead, he was kind of almost self-sabotaging. This is what I'm talking about. When you're in a relationship and when you tend to think that this is just a one-off and this might not come back to haunt me, this is the example that I really want you to keep in mind. So here, a man or woman, it doesn't matter, man or woman, because women do this as well. But the person that you're dating is showing you who they are. When times get tough, when I get a no, when I get a rejection, whatever it is, I can't cope with it. So in order to cope with it, I tend to numb myself and drown my pain out. What I want you to take out of this is she saw the red flag, but she chose, she gave him an ultimatum. So she probably noticed these things at the very beginning, but she probably thought, well, this is not going to come back to haunt me. But what she ended up doing was she gave him an ultimatum, okay? And I am not the biggest fans of ultimatums. I feel like if somebody doesn't want to marry you, or if the man doesn't want to do something, by giving him an ultimatum, I just don't truly believe in it. The reason is because I've given somebody an ultimatum and it was not a good decision. So I don't really believe in ultimatums, right? But anywho, after she gave him the ultimatum, I believe they went to a therapist and she was like, I was doing all the work, I was putting in the effort, but he didn't really, genuinely go into it to help himself or be the best version of himself or just be more reflective, right? And so I've seen this happen quite a lot of times, and this happened with me, myself, and where I was like, let's do this. I want to get better. I want to work on this relationship. But the other person, they don't see their faults. They don't see what they need to do as a person in that relationship, in the partnership. And so as much as you would like to change somebody, you just cannot. And this was my biggest revelation in life, is you cannot change people. People only change when they go through some insane amount of suffering and when they come to that realization themselves, okay? After she gave him this ultimatum that I believe it was basically, you need to stop drinking and you need to stop doing X, Y, and Z, and then we can get married and get this going. And so what happened was, for a month, he behaved in an amazing way. He did all of the things, he went to therapy, and so she obviously got hope, which is most women, we do this. And then she ended up getting pregnant. But by the way, when she ended up getting pregnant, they already were moved to a different country. So she was away from her family. And so now she's with a man, her partner, she's pregnant, and she's away from everybody. But when he moved to this other country, he then got back into his old ways, his old patterns of drinking, smoking, all those kind of things. And so now she's found herself by herself in another country and, doesn't have a job. And so she ends up focusing on just being pregnant, having the baby. She has the baby, and then I believe it was, a couple months into it. And by the way, hopefully we know this by now, but when a woman has a baby, she has a lot of hormones and, women can literally, like, they have thoughts about killing their own child. Like, these thoughts get into a woman's brain. Like, she is not, I mean, she's stable, of course, but hormones can really mess with a woman's brain. This is where man's support and compassion really needs to be there for the woman, because it's really difficult, right? And so what she noticed was that he completely changed after moving to this country. She didn't feel loved by him anymore. And so she would kind of instigate that conversation and be like, hey, I just don't, I don't feel loved by you. And his response was, well, be more lovable. Okay? So that is not the best response to get from somebody who is meant to love you and protect you and keep you safe. And so, of course, not saying that she's perfect or, they both are at fault, right? And so that's what I want to get to in dating and relationships, is that we can sit here and blame the man all day long, but we also need to take a look at ourselves as women and see, why did we get into this spot? And of course, things happen sometimes, right? You just cannot predict. And so now she's in a different country with a man, with a kid, and she doesn't have any support system. She doesn't have, well, apparently her parents are super religious. They didn't know about him having this alcohol substance abuse. And so now she's afraid to even go to them. And also when she went to him with, trying to communicate with him regarding her needs and what she's looking for in the relationship and where she sees, places where they can improve, he basically said, well, I really don't need to do any of that because I'm providing. I make the money. I have the job, and that's all I'm here for, basically. And of course, he didn't say it that way, but a lot of men think that. And I feel like a lot of my clients think that as well. They think, okay, just because I'm a man and I can provide and I can protect, that means that now I don't need to work on this relationship. I don't need to put an effort. I don't need to go to therapy. I don't need to work on myself. And I think that is where the delusionment is coming. Just what I'm noticing, to be quite honest. So it's not just about how much money you make. The main reason I really wanted to share this with you guys is because I want us to rediscover what the definition of a relationship is, what kind of role the woman is meant to play. And again, every relationship is different, so we all don't need to marry each other. But I just want you to kind of think about, what kind of role do you want to play in a relationship? What kind of role do you want her to play in the relationship? And really understand what are the needs of most women. And I'll be honest right here. Most women, we need to feel safe in the relationship. And that safety doesn't just have to do with the house and with the car and, we're having great intimacy. It's more than that. It's very important that when you're in a relationship that you both come together as a partnership, right? And like, she's her own person, you're your own person. You don't have to be one person. I don't believe that in that either. But I do believe that you have to, talk about things. You have to make decisions together. And even if you're taking a lead on a certain topic in the relationship, you can still communicate that and just ask for perspective. It doesn't have to be, it's my way or the highway, because that is when a woman is going to feel like you're a bit of a dictator, and she's going to feel that her voice doesn't matter. And a lot of men, this is just what I noticed, I don't think they are intentionally doing it. They really just want to lead in that relationship. They really want to support their partner. But sometimes when you don't communicate or you just kind of ask the woman's perspective, it can be a bit triggering for the woman, because if you ever have a, look at the history of how women have been treated, and I know I'm not here to be a feminist or anything like that, but I do believe that just understanding that, not too long ago, I mean, still in some countries it still happens, but I believe in Iran, you still can't leave the house, and please somebody correct me if you're Iranian, but my cousins live there, so that's what they tell me, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but a woman can't leave the house without a man. In 2025, some women are still living like that. So I know that you might be trying to take the lead, but to a woman, she might be seeing it in a very different perspective. I have no idea how I got to this point. So I really would like you to reflect on what you think a relationship should look like in your eyes. What do you think love? And by the way, love is an action. It's what you decide to do every single day. It's not a feeling that suddenly, oh, I love this person. Like, yeah, that's great for the first couple of months. But right after, you're going to realize if you're not making effort every single day, that love is not going to last. So I just wanted to create this video for you to reflect on what you think a relationship should look like. And also, I'm super excited. Very soon, I'm going to start my new segment where I'm going to be coaching men on camera. So for the first couple sessions, I'm going to do it on audio. When I kind of get the hang of it, I might change it up a little bit, but just for the very beginning, I'm just going to kind of go with the flow, see how things go. And if you guys have any suggestions, or if you're interested to get free coaching, that's right, free coaching, but it's going to be recorded either on audio. If it's on audio, I'm not going to mention any names, none of that. And if you do it on video, of course, you're going to be seen. I help professional, nice men get unstuck and break those old patterns and finally become the best version of themselves, which naturally will attract the love of their life. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on my next one.